What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to a voicemail episode of the Mets'd podcast. We're going to be listening to the voicemails you guys dropped us on Instagram. Make sure you are following us on all our social media at Mets'd. Links will be in the description. After the Mets got knocked out of the postseason, me and James have now had a good 24 hours to reflect on what happened. We heard David Stearns talk to the press about what happened. Now we want to hear your guys' reactions and give you our thoughts and opinions on what you got to say. So that's pretty much it. Make sure you are subscribed to the Mets'd Podcast YouTube channel. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download and subscribe. And James, hit us with that first voicemail.
Yeah, let's do it. Thank you guys all so much for sending a bunch in. We appreciate all the engagement from you guys. Just appreciate another great year along with the Mets'd podcast. But
yeah, great year for us.
Great year, yeah, for the podcast.
For the podcast, yes.
Great year.
Horrible year otherwise.
Thanks you guys all for that. It's all the glory to you. But we got the first one here from our girl, Bella.
Bella.
Coming all the way from Florence, Italy, I literally, as soon as I, there's the top of the ninth and Lindor was up, I said to my boyfriend on the phone, I said, you know, it sort of would come up if you know, if Lindor just doesn't grant you don't play, and then he immediately grants you don't play. I need Mendoza gone. I need, Carlos, Carlos Mendoza, Chavez, I can't remember his first name, Chavez, Barnes, Hefner, even though I love him, he needs to go. I need to overhaul the whole staff except for Antoine Richardson. I can't deal with this team anymore. It's the worst, and I can't even watch playoffs. This is horrible.
I like that we got these voicemails, instant reactions. Like Bella sent this one at 6:44. It's like 3-4 minutes after the game ended, 30 minutes. Now 24 hours, like cooler heads have prevailed. Like we have listened and thought about more stuff. We gave you guys the instant reaction last night. It is funny. It's funny to go back and forth with these voicemails.
Yeah, I definitely feel a lot different than I did yesterday. Like yesterday was like get the hate and anger out. Today it's like, yeah, WFAN mark. Now today it's like, all right, 2026. What's the plan for the Mets 2026? And we heard David Stearns talk about some of the things that Bella mentioned. Carlos Mendoza's back, no doubt. He is the Mets manager in 2026. He might not be there for the whole season, but on opening day, Carlos Mendoza will be the New York Mets manager. And as much as I was screaming and yelling last night about how I don't think he can be back and he's not fit to be manager, I understand why they're doing it. And hearing David Stearns' press conference, he took a lot of the blame. A lot of the reason maybe why Carlos Mendoza made the worst decisions a bullpen has ever been managed like before is because David Stearns didn't give him the weapons in the bullpen, didn't give him the starting pitchers that could go deep enough into the games, didn't give him the players on the 26-man roster to be able to be flexible enough to play guys in the right positions at the right times. David Stearns took a lot of that fault, and I think that was fair. I can see him taking that fault, giving Carlos Mendoza that extra year or however much time it could be if it goes south again. I'm not going to feel good about Carlos Mendoza going into the season, but knowing now what David Stearns said, I understand it more than at least I would have if he didn't.
Yeah, I think a lot of my nerves were eased by the David Stearns press conference. It was nice to hear that much accountability. It was nice to even see, this is going to sound funny, how distraught he looked. He seemed like that was
looked like he hadn't slept.
Yeah, it looked like he deservedly had not slept. Also, Mark, can you name the Mets' last manager to reach their third season?
Mickey Callaway?
No, it is Terry Collins.
Oh, that's so long ago. Holy shit.
11/12/2013. The last time Mets manager reached their third season, we were in high school, not even seniors.
Yikes. Yeah, that's such a long time. Yeah. And then in terms of like Chavez and Hefner and Barnes and all that, we did hear that Stearns also mentioned they're going to have coaching evaluations. They're going to very much look at all these guys under the microscope. And I don't know if you picked this up, James, but at one point, I don't know if it was Laura Albanese or Will Salmon talked about in-game adjustments. Could the Mets have made more in-game adjustments?
That was Lauren.
Shout out Lauren. Lauren. Apologies to Lauren. In-game adjustments. And David Stearns kind of said the Mets didn't make enough.
Laura.
I was right. I knew it. Damn
Laura.
it. All right. Apologies to the Albanese family. How about that?
Especially Laura.
He mentioned how the Mets, like sometimes they would score runs and then pitchers would lock in for 3 or 4 innings. He goes, also, sometimes I don't think we made adjustments. He's like, and that's something we have to consider when we think about all the coaches and when we evaluate them. And I think that was a direct shot, without saying the names, at Jeremy Barnes and Eric Chavez.
I got a great DM here from Brajola at Run Smoker. Brajola. He said, a long term at James, listen to pod every day. Thank you guys for all the content this season, this and that. I felt like this team was terrible. Watch garbage most of the time. I went through every single game on Baseball Reference and counted 38 different games where the Mets only scored runs in one inning of the game. And then 45 games where the Mets only scored runs in 2 innings of the game. So that means 83 of the Mets' 162 games, 51% of them, they were getting shut out for at least 7 innings. In those 83 games, they went 21-62. There was a major inning by inning, game by game consistency problem with this offense. While they still did have those explosions, and they still, by the end of the season, did rank as a top 6 or 7 offense in the league, which I think was fair, all things considered. But you did feel this complete waxing and waning of the effectiveness all the time. It did feel like David Stearns was basically at that point saying, like, there was some internal evaluations. And there was a lot of coaches in the staff. Most of the coaches in the staff predated David Stearns and Carlos Mendoza.
Yeah, which is always weird.
Yeah. Like Glenn Sherlock, like, it's just, there's a lot of weird people. Like, there's a lot of strange, different ideas in the building. And not saying that that's a bad thing, but I don't know, it just does feel like it might have gotten stale at a certain period of time.
And we know that Eric Chavez didn't do his job last year, so it wouldn't shock me that he doesn't do it again this year. And hopefully, I pray he's not doing it in 2026.
No, we got
not for this team.
Got the next voicemail now. What team would you prefer Eric Chavez be the hitting coach for next year?
Ooh, God.
If you have to pick any.
Who do I prefer, or where do I think he ends up?
Both.
I prefer he's with someone else in the National League East. Go to the Braves, go to the Phillies, go to the Marlins, ruin those hitters that they fixed this year. That'd be sick. Where do I think he ends up? I don't know, probably like Sacramento or, Giants.
But Diamondbacks. He loves Arizona.
Eric Chavez, new Giants manager. Heard it here first.
Yeah, right. Jeez, that'd be crazy.
Buster Posey would love that.
No, they're going to try and get Bruce Bochy back, get the band back together.
Ooh,
but
okay.
Next voicemail from our guy, Chris Scopo.
Oh, I know Chris.
Yeah, he's comedian Chris.
Yeah, comedian. Met him at Astoria softball.
There we go. Here comes Chris.
I couldn't figure out to send the voice note. And I'm sorry in the other message. This team is just an embarrassing team. They're horrible. I don't know what's going to happen next year. I know McNeil's going to be gone. He better be gone. I can't stomach him on the team anymore. I don't know if they're going to have Jet start or they're going to get somebody else to, be a second baseman until Jet. Benj is probably the center fielder. It depends what they're going to let Cohen's going to let Stearns do. Is Cohen going to meddle in and say sign Alonso? Because if it's not, Stearns definitely does not want to sign Alonso. He'll bring up Clifford, and he'll bring up Jet and Benj. He won't sign Diaz, so that's going to be a problem. I don't know what's going to happen with the pitching staff. They got to sign somebody. If they do sign Alonso, are they going to package Clifford then for somebody? This team's just an embarrassing team. They were not good at all. We would have got smoked by the Dodgers, but, this would have got in at the hear everybody else bitch at us. But, we deserve it. We talked a lot of smack, and the team did not back it up at all. It was horrible. This was the worst year of Mets baseball I've been a part of. I've been a part of bad teams, but this team was not bad. They played like shit, but they're not bad. Anyway, good podcast, guys. Talk to you later.
Thank you, Chris.
Talk to you later too, Chris. That was a good voicemail. A lot to unpack there. So I think that start with some of the things he said, especially about the guys like McNeil, Alonso, and Diaz, but more specifically McNeil and Alonso, because in listening to the David Stearns press conference again, you heard them talk a lot over and over again about run prevention. That was where this team wasn't good enough this season. And that is pitching. And he talked a lot about the failures of this pitching staff that he built. Also talked about the defensive failures. And the defensive failures, from what he said, were a position group that we need to be more open-minded about, is something that really stuck out to me. And that, to me, is kind of focusing on guys like Jeff McNeil, Mark Vientos, Brandon Nimmo, who are under contract for now, but aren't really up to snuff defensively on what you want to do if you ever want to be an elite defensive team.
Yeah, and I think to talk about Pete, while Pete's one of the worst rated first baseman defensively in terms of OAA, -9 this year at the position, is a third percentile, which is, it's really hard to stomach, but he mashes. And everybody knows that, and you take Pete Alonso's bat and you worry about the defense. The other thing is with OAA, it doesn't take into account scoops, and we know Pete is the best at scoops. And you talk about run prevention, Pete takes bad throws, turns them into outs. So I think at the absolute worst, Pete's a bad fielder at first base, but he hits enough where it doesn't matter. The guys that you mentioned with McNeil, Vientos, Nimmo, that's definitely more of who he's talking about. And I know Ronnie, I think, graded well, but we saw Ronnie
mental errors.
Maybe not the sharpest. Like Nimmo was below average defensively this year. He was not very good. 43rd percentile in terms of OAA out in the outfield, and that's not just at his position. That includes everybody.
And I also think that is looking favorably upon Brandon Nimble's defensive season, because you add in the fact that he has one of the worst arms of any starting corner outfielder in baseball. That's something that other teams can habitually take advantage of. You paired him with Cedric Mullins for about 50 games out there. It turned into a situation where it just felt like we didn't have the athleticism, the dogs, like the physical ability to match what other teams could do to us.
And I think you could even bring up Mullins there too, because something that you mentioned is while he grades out well OAA-wise percentile, that's because of all outfielders. When you look at just center fielders, Cedric Mullins is one of the lesser defensive center fielders, a big reason being that arm. Mullins obviously isn't here next year, but the idea is that the Mets need to get, I don't even want to say more athletic, they just need to get better. He said run prevention so much in that press conference that this was clearly the most important thing on his mind. And guys like Vientos have no defensive value. You either got to hit or you got to play defense. If you can do both, great. If you can't, probably don't have a spot on this team.
Yeah, and that's it. And that seems to me a little bit more, again, reading in between the lines, like Chris said, that a guy like Jeff McNeil might just not be back.
Even though he was okay defensively this year, because second base and outfield, he was fine. I think he had like 2 OAA. I don't know how it breaks down at each position. Maybe you can look that up, James. But truthfully, McNeil didn't really hit towards the end. So, like,
he did fall apart last month.
Being an okay hitter and an okay fielder doesn't really deserve as much play as he got. And I love Jeff. He's my boy. But, like, probably not going to be on this team next year. It doesn't feel like there's a spot for him, especially when there's younger, more athletic, better defensive players coming up.
Jeff's still great as a plus defensive second baseman, but below average outfielder,
which makes sense.
Yeah. But in terms of if you want to like drastically improve the defense on this team, you definitely start with, I think, second base, third base, and left field. Like those are the positions to drastically improve if you were to drastically improve.
Yeah. What did Beatty grade out at third base? What was his?
He graded out as above average at third and slightly below average at second.
Okay, which makes sense. It's a new position for him.
All makes sense.
And I do think that Beatty will continue to get better defensively because I think he's going to be the third baseman for this team going into 2026, unless they get a stellar defensive third baseman, a guy who's good there, and maybe they move Beatty to second. But they also have options internally too. Jet Williams has been playing the infield. I don't think this is like them being like, we're going to play Luis Angel Acuna more because we know he can't hit. I think the Mets want more complete players where a lot of guys on this team this year were very one-dimensional.
And it was just a lot of this roster was bogged down. Like we talked about a lot. The idea of going into the season with Vientos and Starling Marte on your roster.
And Jesse Winker.
Yes, but even just Marte and Vientos, 2 right-handed batters with no defensive value. Bang. Right there. And you got to a point where there were parts of the season where neither of them could hit. So then all of a sudden, I think I said this last night too, maybe it was just by you talking off air, but the money is infinite. The roster spots are finite. You have to make sure you can actually maximize the talent of the 26 spots that you have.
And that was something that we praised Stearns for in 2024. Did not do a good enough job. And he said it himself, did not put a good roster together to win enough baseball games.
And again, like you look up and down the Brewers roster, we always have to bring comparisons back to the Brewers because that was
nuts.
But that was a franchise that David Stearns was the architect of, and like, oh, he's not there now. But then you look at the random guys that get called up by the Brewers, and you're like, damn, look at the speed and defense. Sal Frelick, I mean, Joey Ortiz, Caleb Durbin, those were not Stearns guys, but like Blake Perkins coming out of nowhere, Isaac Collins as a minor league free agent, Andrew Monasterio playing all over the infield. Like those are the kinds of like little pieces and little guys that would have really helped conceptually the bottom of the Mets roster.
And also speaking,
hit and field.
Yeah, I was going to say, those guys have also hit this year too. That's the big kicker here, is that we can't just get a bunch of Jose Siri's, because that was also a major failure too, was Jose Siri
horrible move.
Was so horrible, so bad.
Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
I think that might have been my least favorite move looking back of the whole thing, which is funny to say in terms of all the other bad ones, but that was one I disliked almost the most.
It's in retrospect, it's kind of fucked up that they made that move.
Yeah, a little bit. But all right, here's another one from Christina. 2 separate voicemails, 30 seconds each. And guys,
two women early on here.
Yeah, I'm trying to push the women demographic for us, our 97% male listeners. Just let the other ladies know that they're welcome here. But a lot of you guys did leave voicemails. I give you guys so much credit, prestige for just leaving us like a 4-minute voicemail, a 6-minute voicemail. One person left us a 13.5-minute voicemail. I really love how passionate you guys are, but we can't really play things on here that are going to be longer than like 45 seconds to a minute.
Because then ultimately it does just turn into your guys' podcast on our podcast feed. And as much as we love you, we can't have that happen.
We just can't. So again, as we do voicemail messages going forward, we beg you guys to keep it under a minute if it's at all possible.
Yes, if possible. But we know you guys had a lot to say.
It was an emotional day. Here's Christina.
Hey, I have like so many thoughts about this team. First of all, I think they got exactly what they deserved. They played like shit for literally since June. The biggest thing for me though, that really gets me like this season is they didn't build off of the momentum that they had from last season. Like not even like the OMG gimmick shit, but they like having a winning culture. They like to keep it rolling, and they never fucking rolled. I'm like all over the place because I'm so angry.
Is that it?
We got 30 more seconds from Christina.
Okay, I wasn't sure if she left us hanging.
And so there was 2 things today that pissed me the fuck off. First of all, like Mindy knew they were playing with house money when it came to the game plan for this game. And like, what the fuck was he doing with all of the pitching decisions? It was so sporadic, and if you're not going to let anyone have rhythm and you're going to make bad decisions, like, yeah, it's not going to work out for you. And also, I understand that Pete smoked the shit out of that ball, but how he hit it, I think, is unacceptable. And frankly, I'm done with him.
That was a twist.
That was a crazy voicemail of Christina. Christina, I like the cut of your jib, but I think
didn't see that one coming.
Didn't see any of that coming. But I think there was some truth in this idea of a real failure to capitalize on momentum. Because we had so much momentum after last season, signing Juan Soto and then having the best record in baseball on June 1st. And then you kind of felt that. And that was asked a few times contritely of David Stearns. Like, how do you guys weren't really able to take advantage of that? And he was like, yeah, no, you're right. Like, he was like, we did not take advantage of that. And there's a great quote from a Jake Mintz article, Cespedes Barbecue, Yahoo Sports, when he got a quote from Steve Cohen about the attendance last year. And this is going to sound harrowing, ominous in retrospect. There's always been a little bit of skepticism with the Mets and believing that we're going to be sustainable winners sustainably in the playoffs. I think Mets fans have had this negative perception of the Mets and their own fandom. And one of my goals is to break that negativity and have them believe that we're going to be sustainable year in and year out. And they come to the ballpark and enjoy it. That was from 2024.
Yeah, so that hurts to hear. Because as much as me and you, I think we still believe in David Stearns and where this franchise is going to go for the future. But I think not every Mets fan can or should think that way. I don't think that that's necessarily rational on their part either. Like, we might be drinking the Stearns Kool-Aid a little bit too much at times. But man, all that goodwill of thinking that we can build something sustainable, anybody who's on the fence is completely gone again. They've gone mega hater, we suck again. And that, like you said, that's harrowing.
Oh, we've breathed fire back into the hater Mets fans. Like, they are like the power of 1,000 suns right now. They've grown in mass and size. And just Christina's last point there, part of me does just still think that one of the only reasons that Carlos Mendoza was brought back is because of how many managers we fired in the last few years.
Oh, 100%.
I think if we had a very long tenure, like let's say Terry Collins was just, he managed his team up until like the Cohen regime took over through 2020. And then immediately you did like the 2 years of Buck, you know what I mean? And then you did Mendoza. I think if you didn't go the Mickey Callaway catastrophe to Luis Rojas, bad situation.
To Carlos Beltran.
Yeah, to Carlos Beltran, complete misfire. And then also with Buck Showalter, leaving in the silence of the night and kicking and slamming the door behind him on the way out. I don't think Carlos Mendoza will be managing his team next year. I think a good reason he's managing his team is for the goodwill of the industry to not fire a third manager in 5 years.
And we kind of joked about it last night. Like, John Gibbons did nothing for this team. Like, John Gibbons, every time I saw him, I swear to God, that guy looked so comfortable on the bench. Like, he always was like just sitting back in his chair, always comfortable, answering the phone, like whatever. I'm sure he did stuff. But I do think that the Mets,
he did stuff.
He had to, right? It'd be crazy for me to say he wasn't doing anything. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. But like at the same time, I do think that, again, there are going to be a lot of coaching changes made, not Carlos Mendoza, but I think the guys around him. And I do think we're going to see the Mets get I don't want to say be like aggressive with a base coach, but I think they're going to get, or a bench coach. I think they're going to get someone who could fill in if the Mets scuffle early. I don't think that the leash is very long for Carlos Mendoza. I just think they don't want to have to go through an offseason where, let's be honest, the biggest problem is the players on the field right now.
By far.
Not the manager. Carlos Mendoza did not help. I don't think he should be back. But in an offseason where they need to focus on getting better players, you don't want to also spend time searching for a manager.
I also think that in a year where the Mets had their greatest minor league success ever, every single team, I believe, was over 500. I think maybe except for Syracuse. Binghamton won.
Who cares? Yeah, AAA.
Yeah. Binghamton won the Eastern League Championship. The Cyclones won. I don't remember what their league is called now.
It's the Sal League.
It's not the Penn League anymore.
I think it's SALL.
Yeah, but those two teams both won their championships. So I would truthfully look for something like one of those guys, if they wind up moving up a rung, if one of them gets like a bench coaching opportunity or a job, because that would be kind of like the guys who are being put in positions to, possibly take over managerial coaching roles one day.
Yeah.
I think that would be interesting to look out for.
Yeah. I think the coaching staff is definitely going to look different based on what Stearns said. I do think Hefner will be back. As much as pitching stunk this year, I don't know. You can't really polish a turd again. So it's like, I don't know what Hefner could have done to make Ryan Stanek not give up nukes and Ryan Helsley to stop tipping pitches when they told him to stop tipping pitches.
Yeah, again, a lot of people do go back to the trade deadline with Stearns. I look back at the trade deadline like, what a cataclysmic disaster. That's not his fault.
He like in his press conference today, he almost seemed like he's like, I can't believe it went that bad. Like,
he was like, not only do we not get better, we got worse.
We got worse.
Right.
He was like, and I don't know how that's even possible. He's like, shame on us for not giving them a better situation to succeed in.
And also, I think he also mentioned that something we've talked about, possibly a mistake in his own process and the way he evaluates talent, not thinking about personality maybe as much as he should, because when you acquire players in Milwaukee and keep going back to the Brewers, because that's the data we have on David Stearns, it doesn't really matter the guy's personality. I get it matters personality fit in with the clubhouse, but like in terms of handling pressure, like there is a world where those two guys, Helsley and Mullins, just couldn't really stand up to what is asked of you in New York, and that's part of this. That's part of what you have to do with being the Mets' top executive. But
two guys who only played in small markets.
Most of the league only plays in small markets. There's like 7 big markets in the whole show. But we got another one here from Jack. Voicemail. Short one.
I blame myself. I forgot to make bolognese today. I didn't have time. I didn't trust in the sauce, but it's okay. We got the doors blown off by the Dodgers anyway. Look forward to 2026, and wish we hadn't wasted such great seasons out of Soto, Alonso, Lindor. But hey, they really had us in the first half, as Frankie said. They really had us.
I mean, they did. They did have us in the first half. It's kind of the saddest part to look back on. It's like how great they were, how much fun it seemed like we were having.
Let me ask you this, James.
Uh-huh.
Would you rather, let's just say you knew that the options were Mets miss the playoffs or Mets make the playoffs, but they get their teeth kicked in by the Dodgers? Which do you pick?
Make the playoffs for sure.
Me too, definitely.
It's not even a question. So a lot of fans are happy they make the playoffs.
But you know that they lose 12-0 guaranteed no matter what in 2 games.
I mean, guaranteed 12-0.
Guaranteed 12-0.
Maybe that does change my opinion a little bit, but it's the way this media firestorm has now happened. Because I do think even if this team won on Sunday and made the playoffs by the skin of their teeth, I think they still would have had these same kinds of internal conversations. Yes. I don't think process-wise they would have been like, oh, gee willikers, we made the playoffs. We did it all right the whole time. Like, that definitely would not have happened. So I would have rather just like to make the playoffs to avoid the embarrassment and disappointment. The guys like Michael Kay like saying he's gleeful that this happened.
God, I'm going to dance on the Yankees' grave when they get knocked out by the Red Sox.
Oh, it's not going to happen. Here comes another one from Sam.
That Pete at bat was heartbreaking, man. 116 off the bat and don't drop is that. I don't even know how to conceive that, but
still love the team. Looking forward to the next season with the same amount of fucking positivity as I did the last. Let's go Mets. Looking forward to the offseason, I guess.
Are you positive, James? Are you positive going into next season, or you can't have that conversation yet?
Yeah, I can't even have that conversation yet. Like, some people tried to start asking me about like off-season ideas, like pitchers who are available. I'm so not there. Like, I'm taking this whole week as post-mortem.
There's no pitchers available, basically.
Well, there will be a couple via trade. Freddie Peralta will be a very interesting name that's going to be thrown around. But I'm so not there. Like, I'm not even close to being there.
Not yet.
I will be there.
I think because both of us do talk about also Major League Baseball, as well for content, that our brains are still like, all right, there is playoffs. I just don't have to be like depressed anymore. But it's hard for me to think about what's actually going to happen on like November 2nd and the Mets free agency.
It's a joy to not have to spend a lot more mind power on the Mets right now. It's amazing, actually.
This is like the last week of dense Mets talk before we start looking forward. This is a lot of revisiting what just happened, making sure that the wound is still fresh.
Oh yeah, we're going to keep this week letting you guys just feel the pain every single day. And then we'll start looking to the future. But this week is pain only.
Yes.
Here comes a new one from Nick.
How is Cedric Mullins batting in the ninth inning? It makes zero sense. You have Marte on the bench. Mullins has been ice cold all season long. No idea why he's batting. Why bring in Ryan Stanek?
Yeah.
Nick was talking in the forest with the crickets there, but
I agree.
Yeah, there was also another situation 2 innings prior where Jeff came up against Cade Gibson, who's a lefty, who had a nice breaking ball all weekend. I think Ronnie and Keith were both pretty impressed by him as a young relief pitcher. But again, as Jeff doesn't seem like he hasn't gotten hit off a lefty in a month, 2 months. There wasn't even the inclination to bat Starling Marte. In fact, Jared Young got the at-bat.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, over Starling Marte, which I thought was just, again, the combination of over and over again this entire year, just not being able to spot the process or the consistency in Carlos Mendoza's decision-making was kind of painful.
Yeah, which maybe, I don't know, maybe too many cooks in the kitchen.
Like, who even knows? Like, is it too many cooks in the kitchen, or is it just like
do they give, I would love to know if he has full control over what's going on during the game, where there's a plan. Because if there is a plan, the plan's bad.
I always do think about that, because there's the contingency of Mets fans that's like, David Stearns makes every decision.
He's the puppet master.
I truthfully, watching, can't see how that's possible.
Yeah,
half the time.
If you, this is gonna be like the worst English and like dumb idiot baseball talk ever. But if you're an analytics guy, analytics would never tell you to do the stuff that happens in the game that the Mets do. Never. There's no world where they would ever say to make those decisions that are being made. And if that's what you want to blame Stearns, saying that he's making those decisions, David Stearns is either like an actual moron, which I don't think he is. I'd actually highly doubt he's a moron, or Carlos Mendoza is making the decisions.
And on top of that, too, like, we've had Stearns say explicitly in press conferences that Carlos Mendoza is the manager and he has autonomy. If they're lying about that, feels so weird.
Yeah.
That's really strange if everyone's lying about that together. So I'm going to choose to believe that's not the case.
Yes. Agreed.
AJ, let's talk steaks. Omaha Steaks, to be precise. Big discounts we'll tell you about coming up in just a sec on the website, but also every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness and hand-cut by master butchers in America's heartland. It's been around since 1917. They know what they're doing.
Absolutely, they know what they're doing. They come prepackaged, perfect sizes, portion size. You can get any kind of cut you want, any kind of meat you want, and it all comes out delicious. You can freeze it. You can thaw it right away. There's hamburgers, there's steaks, there's chicken, there's pork chops, there's everything you could ever want, and it comes out delicious every time.
Save big with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during their early Black Friday sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code FOUL at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com. Promo code FOUL at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details.
Got another one here from Quentin. Nice, tight 47-second voice.
Yeah, Quentin.
Love that. Thank you, Quentin.
Respect.
Hey, Mark and James. Obviously, unbelievable how we did not make the playoffs and just unacceptable. But I feel like all these people who are calling for Mendoza's head
are just so short-sighted and reacting too emotionally, because I think he's just got to learn from it. I think he made a ton of mistakes this year, but I also think there are a lot of things he can learn and take from this year that make him a better manager going forward. And I also don't think that firing your manager after one bad season puts you in the greatest light to perhaps, I don't know, maybe get another one. Who would be the managerial replacement if they were to fire him? I just think all these people that put the blame solely on Carlos Mendoza aren't getting the full picture. Appreciate the podcast.
I tend to agree with Quentin. I think that's kind of the Mets'd Up podcast company line.
Yeah, like I know he's right, but also at the same time, I'm like, if the Mets were to fire another manager, like who would want that job? There's like hundreds of people in baseball that are capable of being managers that would take the job in a heartbeat.
Well, there's always the thing of there's only 30 of these jobs available, so when they're available, you take them.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's an industry-wide reputation, because a big part of this is acquiring managerial coaching talent.
So let me ask you this. What would be a worse situation? This is going to be a fun question.
Okay.
Manager of a team that you know has no interest in winning, doesn't spend money, they suck. They're like, what if we spend the least amount of money possible to try and be what the Mets were this year, like 83 wins, right at 500? Or would you rather be on a team where it's like, we're going to spend, you're expected to win. You don't win, that's it. Goodbye.
Worse for who? For the manager?
For the manager. Like as a public perception, because that's kind of what we're talking about here, right? As the public perception of like what the Mets would look like as an organization if they fired another manager again.
I mean, I think would look worse is consistently firing more managers. You run the risk of possibly being those Yankee teams before the dynasty.
Yeah, and it's but I think they would have done that if Joe Torre didn't win. They would have fired his ass too.
Then you got to get Billy Martin for the third time in the room when he's 84 years old.
Because they started winning. So that's why, like, I think the public perception thing, I get it. I also think it is 80% bullshit.
I don't know about 80%, because when you fire them in this quick succession, it's like I said before, the thought process where if Terry Collins was like a lifer, he's managed here for a decade, and then you had like a seamless transition to Buck Showalter, white hair to white hair, and then you did a couple of years of Carlos Mendoza, didn't work out. I think it was okay to fire, but just the turbulence that's already happened, I think that made this all much more difficult, and that's why you kind of do have to stick with him a little longer.
What if I told you that? I don't know.
It's also one good year and one bad year.
Sure.
So it's like that part of it too.
Yeah. I see other organizations too that fire guys all the time. It's like they get another manager. Like it's.
But are they organizations that are serious about winning?
No, but then wouldn't you want to be at least if you were going to be scared of being fired? Wouldn't you rather at least be like, I got fired because I didn't win. I didn't get fired because I lost on a team that wasn't expected to win.
Sure, but what's is that? Is that
like Skip Schumacher got fucking canned?
Well, now Skip Schumacher has a cushy advisor's role in the Texas Rangers front office. I think he's much happier now.
Maybe. I don't know. We don't know. He might have liked being the manager. But, like, I don't know. I think while I can see that side, I do think that if the managerial job for the New York Mets is open, I think 99% of people who were going to be interested will still be interested. They're not going to be like, they fired 3 guys in the last 6 years. I don't know what to do.
I think that'll dissuade the more experienced guys, the guys who've kind of been there before, which I think is
it would be like
the idea is that if you were to fire Carlos Mendoza, that's the kind of person you'd want. But then I think someone like that,
I buy.
That's it. Because you could try another rookie manager, and then might be in the same spot exactly in 2 years.
I'm the chaos guy. I'm cool with it. Give me the new guys. I can't see the old fucking losers back in. But we don't have to worry about that. We got Carlos Mendoza. He's our loser.
Here's one from our guy Connor. I think this is going to be.
Is this Connor?
Exciting.
I know Connor.
This is Connor.
Oh, cute.
Here we go.
All right, boys. Obviously, this is terrible. Only way it gets worse is obviously we've lived through it in 06 and 07. There's nothing about this team that I like besides Soto, Lindor, and the young guys. Honestly, Alonso, it's great seeing you hit the ball hard, but if I see you throw the ball into another guy's back or look 20 feet over a pitcher's head again, I don't see a place for him besides DH. The rest of the guys, see you later. Vientos, you're a pathetic loser who freaked out because you can't field and the manager couldn't put you out there. That's just a microcosm of a bigger issue with that guy. McNeil, I don't want to see him wear blue and orange ever again. Nimmo, great guy, but he's Jesus.
Jesus.
Just bad coaching, bad coaching staff, bad team, bad locker room vibes. Just not a good baseball team, not a fun baseball team. I'm very happy that this season is over now. This is such a fitting way for it to end. See you, boys, next season, hopefully.
I mean, I think we'll see him before next season.
I'll probably see Conrad this weekend, but it's
I gotta wind him up one more time.
It's interesting to think about again the position player groupings. I wonder if the Mets do have Pete back. So I think the Mets will be very involved with Pete Alonso. I think it's a much better than 50% shot that he's back with the Mets. I said that last year too. It just might be an uncomfortable process to get there.
Might be March 2nd again.
Mid-January, I'm going to start to put the antennas up for Pete Alonso. But I do wonder if you negotiate with him this time, it's not just a full-on, here you go, first base. I do wonder if there's some kind of consideration of a DH tandem of Brandon Nimmo and Pete Alonso to alleviate the defensive deficiencies of these guys, because you definitely you can become a much better defensive team if you could put like a real outfielder out there instead of Nimmo. And I don't know who the first, like a defensive first, platoon first baseman would be, but just conceptually speaking, this team can get a lot better defensively if you don't have those two guys out there for 162 games.
I mean, maybe,
but still wanting their bats in lineup for all of those games.
Yeah, first base is such a weird position because the defensive value, like we still have a number that quantifies it, but we know it's not the same value as it is at shortstop. So that's why like OAA at first base is always a little awkward, because you could have a -9 at OAA, but that's not as bad as a -9 at shortstop. I do think ultimately I could see Pete being a DH, like you mentioned, on this team. That DH spot being more fluid is good for this team because of the poor defense from Pete, Nimmo, Soto as well. It'd be nice to get Soto some days at DH as well, because he's can't field out in right field. Got a can of an arm, but adventure fielding the baseball out there. Not a complaint. Love Juan Soto, beast. But yeah, when you start to have those guys plus like a Mark Vientos, they don't have Starter Marte anymore, but the idea of Marte or Winker, that's 6 guys all of a sudden that have negative defensive value on a team that can't really afford to have any more bad defensive players because most of them are already playing the field. And if you're not going to hit, that's bad. At least Pete mashes. At least Soto mashes. That's why they're allowed to play every single day at their position defensively. If we have that DH spot open, we can now improve those defensively. Why can't we get all around good players, right? We don't have to just get defensive first guys.
No, of course, but it's just making this roster hopefully fit together a little bit better.
Is Clifford good defensively at first? I don't know anything about his defense at first because no one talks about it.
He's young, but just hits tons of home runs. His batted ball data was also exceptional.
Sick, I know.
His zone contact was through the roof, much better than expected. But also, like at the same time, we can't really go into another season if we want to be a win now team relying on 21-year-olds.
No.
Like people are clamoring for Jet. We heard another call about Jet earlier, and Jet had a good season at AA. Got to AAA, was a bit overmatched. It's like he's not a guy you can rely on opening day. He's a guy that maybe
right now.
Yeah, definitely. He's a guy that maybe could come up in July if he proves himself through AAA again, and he could be a defensive first second baseman that could probably play low outfield because he does do that. And
could
then
be a piece in a trade to go get a real second baseman, which I don't think we should be afraid of, or a pitcher, or if we need. Man, so tough how bad they were defensively this year.
We also kind of always said the fact that we knew that this year, the last 2 years, were a bit of an awkward time for this Mets organization with Stearns beginning and the player development machine beginning to churn. Now, especially compared to last offseason, it feels like prospect-wise, we are in a much better spot to make a big trade like that. Because now when you look at the AA roster past AAA roster, you're confident in the fact that
we missed Crochet by a year.
Yeah, right. Literally by a year. But you're confident in the fact that AJ Ewing, Nick Morabito could be defensive. Like those could be Blake Perkins types. You know what I mean?
Morabito is in the fall league, right?
Yes.
And I think that is a clear, let's see what you got. Can you play center field at the major league level? Is this a guy that we can rely on for good defense at the major league level?
Can you be on the 40-man roster? Because his 40-man decision is this year's right now. So that's going to be a big deal. But then even
because
again,
as much as we love Benj and as much as we've been told he can play center field, if the Mets are truly caring about this run prevention, they might opt for a more defensive center fielder first until Benj is fully 100% ready.
And then you can slide Benj to the full-time left fielder, and he'll be a defensive upgrade over Nimmo. And then Nimmo can mix in at DH, and you can move Benj to center field in some days with defensive first center fielder isn't there. These are all options. These are all things.
Nimmo deteriorating is just such a killer to this roster. We got rid of one Starling Marte, got another.
At least he's lefty.
I know, and
he can still move.
I'm being
no, Nimble's still good.
Yeah, but he's not good. He's fine. He's totally fine.
It's Mr. Semantics over here. But it's also, again, talking about this run prevention and how this roster looks next year. If Carson Bench is the opening day center fielder instead of Tyrone Taylor, while I'd be thrilled with that, that did make our defense worse relative, not better relative. Yeah. And based on David Stearns saying run prevention 19 times in like a 14-minute press conference, I do believe that that's going to be the absolute driving force of this offseason.
Yes, defensively and also pitching-wise.
Here's another one here from Sam.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
That was genuinely the worst Mets season I've experienced in my fandom.
How old is he?
I wasted so much time over this past year thinking that the Mets were going to make the postseason. And what they do, they disappoint us once again. And trade deadline was terrible. I think they're going to do a lot of stuff in the offseason. Very busy. David Stearns is going to start cooking. But, man, this was a huge disappointment. And, I don't think it can get worse than this next year. So, oh well. Let's go Mets.
Sam, I feel like you might be a younger Mets fan.
Yeah.
Because for any Mets fan who's lived through any of the other stuff, anyone who's near, the right page of 30, like Mark and I over here, this is not even close to the worst Mets season I've ever seen. I don't even think this is one of the 5 worst Mets seasons I've ever seen.
No.
5. Close.
Well, okay. Performance-wise, worse, definitely not close. Feelings-wise, worse.
Based on how you felt the day the season ended.
Yeah, not
even close.
There's like 2011 where it's like, oh God, like we win like 70 games. You talking about those?
Though I don't even think about those.
No, this is the top 5 by far then.
What did you feel worse the way 2022 ended or the way this ended?
That's a good question. They're close. They're close.
Because none of these, I think, even are remotely close to 2007. I think
2007's number 1, and then the clear number 2 is 2008.
I think 2006 might be worse 2008 easily.
2006 hurt in the terms of like so close, but like relatively speaking, I don't have the same pain that I have.
2008, you always felt like
2007 made me realize like what being a Mets fan was. That was being a Mets fan was like, oh, we just got kicked in the nuts, Carlos Beltran taking that pitch, and then the next year they're like, oh, you like that? How about this?
But 2008, I can look back on 2008 and be like, we weren't that wasn't a great team. Like, that was a team that was playing pretty well, but I think that was a team where if you got to the playoffs, you felt the flaws on the roster. Where 2007, I thought we were going to win the World Series.
We should have.
The whole and 2006.
Should have won it in 2006.
We could have and should have won both of those World Series. But that 2008 team, I thought, was much more flawed. That compares more similarly to this season, fair. I think, where I think the roster is good, not great.
Or 2023, maybe even.
Yeah, 2023 is part of it too. But 2023 was
they just stunk.
Horrible.
Yeah, they were just
that
bad the whole
close.
year. Yeah.
We never even sniffed being good. We sold the deadline. Like, that was just a disaster season. So I think that those all compare very differently in that sense. But again, if you think this is anything like 2007,
No.
If you hear anyone you think's a Mets fan say that to you, if you hear any Mets creator say that,
bad,
call them out.
Bad.
Because in terms of things that are not true, that is not true.
You know how David Letterman used to do like those lists where it was like top 5? It'd be like top 5 stupidest things a Mets fan could say. This year was worse than 2007. Number one.
Bang. Easily. But got another few voicemails here. This one's from Brandon.
Hey, Mark and James. I know we're all depressed like I am. I'm fucking pissed. Heartbroken, disappointed. But I always say, look at games that we blew earlier in the season that we should have won, and it comes back to haunt you. Those 2 against the Nationals earlier in the year, the games against the Pirates. This comes back to bite you. But now, where do we go from here? Obviously, I want to get rid of Chavez. I think he sucks. What do we do with our pitching staff this year, who sucked for the most part? I mean, Stanek has to go. But do we fire Mendoza? Like, how many managers can we go through? Every 2 years we get a new manager. So my question for you is, do we fire Mendoza or do we give him another chance? I say give him another shot. But if you guys say different, I agree with you also. But fuck this. This sucks. Let's go Mariners.
Let's go Mariners. Hell yeah.
That was a great voice from Brandon.
Although I think as a fan base, the Mets should not root for the Mariners just because we have so much stink around them. Like, let them have their fun. We can watch from afar. We don't need to root for them.
Yeah, don't vocalize it because we want to ruin what they have.
But I'd like the Mariners to win.
I would like the Mariners to win. Also, at the same time, just to talk about some of the beginning of Brandon stuff, I think that's the worst reflection on this Mets team is that all you got to do is win series against bad teams and you reach the playoffs.
That's it.
Easily. Like this team.
Not pitch Alex Carrillo coming out of the All-Star break.
But it's just, I mean, we texted about it earlier today. Like this team just wasn't killers. No. Like if you were killers, you would have been a killer. You lost 4 out of 6 games to the Nationals and 5 out of 7 to the Marlins to close your season.
I mean,
not a killer.
Shout out to the intern of Mets'd podcast with the tweet that bangs every single time he does it. Absolute legend. Shout out. You know who you are. But you look at that screenshot of all the games that the Mets lost, and it's baffling. Like even games that were tied that they lost. Bases loaded, 1 out in the 9th.
Dodgers.
Yeah, in the 9th inning against the Dodgers, against the Nationals. They had 2nd and 3rd against the Guardians when they didn't send Tyrone Taylor. They had the bases loaded against the Guardians where they didn't score. Like the games that this team lost down the stretch, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. You almost have never seen anything like it. David Stearns even brought up how it is hard to believe that this team did not have a single comeback in the 9th inning. He's like, unexplainable. I don't know how that even happens. You never see anything like that. The worst teams in baseball come back in the 9th inning. It's an anomaly, but it was a good kind of vibe check for what this Mets team was, which was just not killers.
Yeah, it was purely statistically improbable that never happened. And it's crazy. Got a couple more. How many more voicemails you want to do? 2 more. Is that including Frankie Peppers or 2 plus
2
Frankie?
plus Frankie.
Okay, so here's one coming from Andrew.
Hey guys, so first off, I just want to say thank you for all the content you guys have made over the season. I know myself and a bunch of other people have really enjoyed it, whether it was here on your new on the Windup or just on your Instagrams and Twitters and things like that. So I just want to say thank you. So my voice message is probably going to be a little bit different. I have the lines from some of the Mets players from before the season started, like betting lines.
Oh,
I just wanted to see like why you think some of these guys went over, why they went under them. So for Nimmo, his was 72.5 RBIs, 18.5 home runs. Alonso was 100.5 RBIs, 34.5 home runs. Soto was 34.5 home runs, 102.5 RBIs. And Lindor was 25.5 stolen bases, 28.5 home runs, 89.5 RBIs. And Vientos was 86.5 RBIs and 28.5 home runs.
Where did you get these lines? How do I... DraftKings. Shout out DraftKings. You give me that Mark Vientos line next year, I'm hammering the under.
I think we talked about that Pete Alonso RBI line
being free
preseason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm doing most disappointing players from every position on my YouTube channel this week. And Vientos might have been the most disappointing on the list. Going into the season in fantasy baseball, Mark Vientos had a higher ADP than Junior Caminero.
Oh,
imagine that.
That's crazy.
It is funny to think about how differently we're viewing Mark Vientos right now compared to like a year ago. Even we'll do 11 months ago because it was like the burgeoning of a guy.
How about
a
6
middle
months
of the rotation?
How about March?
The middle of the lineup dude, 30 homers, 100 RBIs. Now we're like,
is he
White
on the
Sox.
team?
Yeah.
Get ready to learn Colorado, buddy.
He'll be great there. But it's a good reminder of how quickly things can change in baseball, but also at the same time, so fucking disappointing from him.
I think
you really can't get away from that.
No, it was a miserable season. That was old Mark Vientos. I don't know how, if, when we ever get him back. I don't know if he plays another game for the Mets because, again, in David Stearns' press conference, I get the feeling Mark Vientos will not play another game for the New York Mets based on the things that Stearns was saying.
It doesn't seem like it, especially with the way that the rumors circulated around him at the deadline. It just seems like we didn't get exactly what we wanted.
Did you hear what Stearns said, too, about the deadline? He was like, I think Mets fans would have been angry if you found out who we had to trade for some of those pitchers at the deadline we didn't go after. I also thought that was, listen, Mets needed starting pitching, no doubt. No starting pitchers got moved. The ones that did, like, we weren't giving up
Merrill Kelly.
Yeah, Merrill Kelly and Shane Bieber, we weren't giving up a top 100 prospect for Shane Bieber. That was never happening. And Merrill Kelly didn't pitch well for the Rangers. Wasn't very good.
And they traded 2 prospects.
Yeah,
were like top 150 guys.
Yeah. So I'm sure the price was a lot. I did think it was annoying. They're like, should you have traded for more starting pitching? He's like, well, yeah. I wish we could have, but the price was insane. You want me to give up Nolan McLean for Sandy? That's probably what, those are probably what the trade offers were coming back. And I'm glad they didn't, but I wish we could have.
Someone else, I'll remember who it was. Might have been Heyman, actually, or Joel.
Oh, Heyman asked the worst question ever. First off, he was slurring all over the place. Second, shout out the Sauce Boss. Second, he was just talking to himself in the question. Joel Sherman is a dork 100%, but he's a reporter. He'll ask a question. He gets up there, he asks a question. Heyman's like, so, today is a day that ends in Y. So I'm going to ask you a question now, David. Here it comes. Are you ready? It's like, oh my God, get to the fucking point, man. He sounded very sleepy.
Someone brought up Garrett Crochet's name specifically because that is one that continues to be brought up in these Mets circles. And again, I think David Stearns was tongue in cheek about it. He was just like, we didn't have anything close. He was like, I tried. I really put in, but like we just didn't have enough.
Mets could have traded for him this offseason. We have the pieces now. We didn't have those pieces when the season started.
It probably still, compared to, again, what the White Sox got last season, probably would have taken Benj.
Yeah. Oh, Benj would have been in that trade. It probably would have been Benj and maybe like a Sproat.
Benj Sproat.
Yeah. Benj Sproat, maybe like Ewing. A young guy. Yeah. Probably something like that.
And you still might do that, but that's the caliber of package that the Red Sox gave up.
That's what we'd be giving up right now this offseason for Crochet.
Yeah, for everyone being like, they gave him up for nothing. They got a catcher who in his rookie season had an 800 OPS.
Was great.
A toolsed out switch hitting outfielder who's still in AA and crushed this year, and a guy who came up and played positive defensive shortstop with like a 300 on base.
And I think Wickelman also pitched at the major league level and looked fine.
Yeah, I think he throws like upper 90s as reliever. Like that was a huge trade package, and hats off to the Red Sox for making the move to push those chips in when the rest of their roster objectively wasn't ready. But that was the move that pushed them well over the top.
Yes. All right, time for Frankie Peppers.
No, we got one more. I got Thomas.
Apologies, Thomas.
Only 20-seconder.
August 21st, 9 p.m. Yeah, this season is cooked, not going to lie, and it was cooked long before then. Pathetic team, no heart, no hustle. Don't even know where they go from here. Also said that at 9 p.m. on August 21st, and I still don't know where they go from here on September 27th or whatever the date is. Yep, it's that simple.
Were you checking your phone to make sure you were playing a current voicemail?
Yes, because I wanted to check. On August 22nd at 9 p.m., Thomas DM'd the Mets'd account. Yeah, the season's cooked, not going to lie. Where do we even go from here? So that was just Thomas giving himself his own call back for calling the destruction. So shout out Thomas for that. We love a selfish voicemail.
Yeah. We were
and again,
cooked.
Yeah, shout out to all you guys who did send us voicemails. We had so many. I think we got this is the most by far we ever got. Easily, it was over 100 in the inbox. So if we didn't get to you, we're sorry. We will do these more sporadically, probably more in season, maybe one more in the off season, but definitely something that we do have in the repertoire at this point.
Now,
but yes,
for the final voicemail of the 2025 New York Mets, the one and only Mr. Frankie Peppers.
Francis is that you call him Frankie.
Francis Pepperoni. That's his casual. That's his formal name.
He also threw in the word just struggling on the bottom of this voicemail. So
struggling.
Let's get ready for Frankie here to send us out.
Gentlemen, this is Frankie Peppers. How you doing?
How you doing?
I've got a lot of thoughts right now. A lot of complicated thoughts, charged thoughts that I am having trouble putting words to. All I know is that we are walking out of 2025, and me personally, I'm walking out of 2025 with a lot less than we had walking into it. And I sort of need to wrestle with that a little bit. I don't know where we go from here.
Sad.
I think things, gonna start to work themselves out in the next few weeks. And maybe remember how it felt when we signed Juan Soto? You remember how that felt? We're gonna feel that again. I don't know when, I don't know why, I don't know how. We'll reach that feeling again, right? But right now, there's no such feeling. So we're off now to face the winner. No playoff baseball. Days are getting shorter. It's getting colder. We got to figure out what to do.
So sad.
So, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I won't take up any more of your time. I hope to speak to you boys over the off season. And, just go spend some time with somebody you love. Just get this out of your head. Go spend some time with somebody you love. It's better. It's better to do that. That's what I'm going to try and do. Take care, boys. I'll talk to you soon. Let's go, Mets.
Sad.
I don't like sad Frankie.
That was the saddest we've ever had, Frankie.
That hurt. That hurt to hear. Very profound.
That was like a bit transcendentalist too. It's right. That Frankie has me motivated to head to the woods this week at some point.
Yeah, you're gonna go to the woods.
I think I might take a train upstate one of these days.
Say, what would be the woods near us? Just upstate New York?
Upstate, yeah. Take one of these days. Pick a hike. Take a train.
So cold.
Spend the day.
So cold in the woods.
It's cold. Not yet.
No,
not yet.
Sorry, Frankie. Wish we could have won it for you. Hate to leave Frankie Pepper sad.
It's okay. We got, that's it. It's up to the team. We got to make him happy again.
Coming.
Yeah, right. Frankie's talking about days getting shorter. That was like depression talking. I might reach out to Frankie, but make sure he's all right.
Got grabbing a repo with Frankie, maybe.
Yeah, one time soon. But that's it.
That's it, guys. Let us know what you're thinking in the comment section. Subscribe to the Mets'd Podcast YouTube channel. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. You can follow James on social media at
James Sheehan.
I'm Draftneck Mark with the C. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you all next time. Peace out. Let's go Mets.
Peace out, guys. Thanks for the voicemails.